I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of December 2nd, 2015. We're here to talk about the best comics that came out this week and things that we absolutely think you should pick up. I have to say and start out by saying that this was a very satisfying week for me. I was thinking that as I was reading comics last night. It felt good. there was nothing that I didn't like for the most part, and it was a very satisfying week. So come get satisfied here or at your local comic shop. First up for me is Daredevil #1 by the always awesome Charles Soule, with an art credit by the incredibly awesome Ron Garney. So we don't know what's happened over the last 8 months because of Secret Wars still going on. And, oh, by the way, the last issue has now been pushed to January. So you rock, Marvel. Marvel's doing some amazing stuff, but, get your act together with your miniseries, please. Daredevil has left the West Coast. He's back in Hell's Kitchen. He has a new costume, which at first I wasn't so keen on, but the more I was reading it, and especially the way that Garney draws it, the more I like it. The look of this book is completely different than what we've seen in a Daredevil comic, possibly ever. It's very two-toned. It's very, except for certain elements of Daredevil's costumes. So the entire book is that way. It's got a unique look to it, and any Ron Garney fan out there, I'm sure you will love it. Even if you're not, you'll probably dig it too. So Daredevil has a protege now called Blind Spot. He and Foggy are almost kind of on the outs, and we're not really sure why. And Matt is now working as an assistant district attorney with an office in an elevator shaft. So yes, it's basically Daredevil, Matt Murdock's life the way Matt Murdock's life is supposed to be, miserable and dark. This had action. It has an interesting mystery that we're exposed to, and I really have to again give a shout out to Garney's artwork here that really helps sell the book to me. But Soule is no slouch when it comes to writing comics. If you are a Daredevil fan, this is a no-brainer. If you've watched Daredevil on Netflix and you're not sure where you want to jump in, you could absolutely pick up this issue and hit the ground running. Really enjoyed it. Another strong new Marvel series that is awesome. And this is why I should have another cup of coffee, because my brain is not working.
Book good.
Book good, yes.
And of course,
look pretty.
I liked Charles Soule, obviously, is a lawyer, so writing a lawyer is good.
Yeah.
And I like...
How many lawyers are in the Marvel Universe? He's written She-Hulk, who is an attorney. He's written Daredevil. I guess that's it.
I mean, there may be some other minor ones.
Unless there's a Foggy Nelson miniseries.
I will totally read a Foggy Nelson
somewhere
miniseries.
Down the road.
And I really liked that you mentioned that he's a district attorney now. He's on the other side.
He's on the other
he's
side.
Classically the defending the downtrodden, and now he's getting the bad guys, which is a different angle than we've seen.
He's going after the bad guys in the courtroom and on the streets.
Right.
And the tone is completely different than what Waid was doing, which is okay. And yeah. I think it's all right to really like what Mark Waid did with Daredevil, and it's all right to like this, and it's all right to like Bendis' run on Daredevil and Frank Miller's run on Daredevil. It doesn't always have to be the same tone. They just have to be good stories, and this was a good story. Yeah.
First up for me this week, we've got Robin War #1 from DC, script by Tom King, with art by way more people than seems necessary. Kerry Randolph, Alan Morissette, and Jorge Corona. Yeah. Oh wait, I'm sorry. There's more artists in the next line of credits. 5 pencilers.
Just get on with the review.
Robin War is a crossover going on through DC where it's going to cross into all of the Robin books. So Dick Grayson, Robin, son of Batman, Red Hood and the Outsiders, Teen Titans, a little bit in Gotham Academy. Basically and We Are Robin, which is the relevant part. If you've been reading We Are Robin since the sort of DC mini relaunch, there's a group of teenagers out in the streets. Since Batman has been MIA in the traditional sense, they've sort of taken it upon themselves to become Robin and to be vigilantes and fight people. But rather than, they're not being trained by Batman or anyone else. They're not really being bankrolled by anyone with their kind of power. It's just a bunch of kids trying to do what they think is right in the mold of Robin. And in this issue, we see why that's a horrible, horrible idea. One of them gets into a bad situation. A cop gets killed. And so the city of Gotham has become very anti-Robin. They're passing laws against being a Robin, wearing Robin paraphernalia. And so the real Robins, the original Robins, have to corral this and figure out what's going on. But as you can guess from the cover, behind this, or at least involved in it, is the Court of the Owls, which is one of the coolest Gotham-centric villains of recent memory. So yeah, based on that description, you know if you want to read it or not. If you like Dick Grayson or Damian's actually really good in this issue too. This is where the Robins be. And this is going to be crossing actually into all of the books. So if you're reading all of those, you might as well at least check out the first issue so you can understand what's going on in your normal books.
A book that we've been really looking forward to is out this week, Red Wolf #1 from Marvel Comics, written by Nathan Edmondson with art by Dalibor Talajic. That's just a made-up name. That's a pen name for someone else. So this kind of continues the story of Red Wolf, who we were introduced to in the Marvel 1872 series during Secret Wars. He is the sheriff of Timely, and this adventure takes place in Timely mostly. There was so much that I liked about this that I can't really tell you specifically without spoiling things, but Edmondson is really writing this kind of like an all-knowing narrator, knowing everything about Marvel Comics. So it's very fun to read, and by the end of the book, Red Wolf is not in the same place where he started in the book. So really curious to see where it goes from here, but thoroughly enjoyed it. And after you read it, if you want to engage in conversation about some of the things that go on in it as far as the dialogue, I'm happy to talk about it. But I don't want to spoil it for you. They were just fun things that made me smile as I was reading it.
Next up for me, we've got a twofer of new Marvel #1s. Totally Awesome Hulk #1, written by Greg Pak with art by Frank Cho. This, as Mark mentioned before, we've skipped ahead 8 months in the Marvel continuity, and stuff has changed. Daredevil's a DA, and Amadeus Cho is now a Hulk. And this is actually really cool. He's essentially, it appears at least, to have chosen to become the Hulk and go out and do the things the Hulks do. But he is intelligent when he's the Hulk, or at least moderately so. He seems to be affected not the same way Banner is. He is eating a lot to counteract his presumable... Like, Banner always had this like infinite supply of Hulk energy. I don't know if it was a gamma-powered thing or what, but we never really saw him getting the calories. He was burning lifting tanks and stuff, whereas Cho has to kind of keep his caloric intake up. And we also see that rather than becoming a rage-filled monster, it kind of leans towards his more base instincts. He doesn't get necessarily dumber, but he seems to be kind of goofier, a little more id-driven in the Hulk form. And the real selling point here is written by Greg Pak. Greg Pak had maybe the best run on Hulk ever, second only to Peter David's run, I would guess, but including stuff like Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, and the introduction of Amadeus Cho originally, just as a sidekick to the Hulk. So if you like Hulk books, if you like things that are well written, this is a great checkout. A very fun, light party book.
As a side note, if you like Frank Cho's artwork, you probably want to get this too. Frank Cho usually doesn't draw...
They go to the beach in this issue.
Yes,
as they do in all Frank Cho
There are women
books.
in bikinis drawn by Frank Cho. There you go.
Frank Cho, the pages actually came back with women in bikinis, and Greg Pak was like, I guess we're going to the beach. All right, Frank, yeah, we'll do that. Next up, we've got Guardians of Infinity #1, written by Dan Abnett, with art by Carlo Barbieri, and we also have a backup by Jason Latour and Jim Chung. And Guardians of Infinity is the story of 3 Guardians teams. We get the classic current Guardians, they are both classic and current in this scenario. Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Drax, whatnot. Off in space, exploring something, looting, treasury, just being, Rocket and Groot and Drax. And they run into the Guardians from the future, from the year 3000, which is essentially the original Guardians, Starhawk, Charlie
guys.
27, Martin X, what most people think of as the classic Guardians.
Vance Astro.
Vance Astro, except he's called Major Victory.
Yes.
And then by the end of the issue, they run into a third Guardians team from the year 1000 on Earth, which is composed of entirely new characters who we get nothing about, but I'm super amped to hear about this secret past Guardians team. And written by Dan Abnett, who co-wrote the legendary Guardians run that became the basis for the Guardians movie and basically the modern version of Guardians of the Galaxy. If you like the movie, if you like regular Guardians, it's got Rocket and Groot and Drax and humor and fights and awesome time travel-y goodness. Well, maybe not time travel-y, something involving time, obviously, with people from 3 different time periods. But if you're a Guardians fan, it's worth a check out. The backup is about the Thing, who's joined the Guardians recently in the main book, and Rocket trapped on a planet, and the Thing has to become a professional wrestler.
Again.
Somehow this planet is like the only planet that knows. The reason they saw him, they got the broadcasts of our wrestling stuff or whatever, so it's
From 1985 or
thereabouts,
1986.
yes. They have to move through space. It takes time to move that far.
It's artwork by Jim Chung on that, and who draws the Thing amazingly.
Yes. Guardians of Infinity.
Now I want to read that.
It was good.
You know, that pitch, this could actually hurt it if I'd say this out loud, but the pitch sounds a little bit like Avengers Forever, where you have different Avengers from different time periods that are working together.
Kind of. I mean, this is whole teams. They're
Right.
But yeah.
I don't know, I didn't read it, and now I want to, so nice job. Also, from Marvel, it's a Marvel kind of week until I get to my last item here, but Spidey #1 is out this week. This is by Robbie Thompson with artwork by Nick Bradshaw. Okay, so this needs some explanation. Marvel feels the need to always have a Spider-Man book for every age group, which I guess is a good thing. Although I was able to read the main Spider-Man books as a junior high school kid and still understand what was going on. Spidey #1 is for probably that middle school, junior high age group. You hit the ground running. There's a one-page kind of reminder of who Peter Parker is and how he got his powers. It's set in present day. And you've got all the familiar characters from the Spider-Verse, not the Spider-Verse series from Marvel, but, Flash Thompson and Gwen Stacy and Aunt May, and Peter's still in high school. And it was entertaining, and again, part of the selling point for me was Nick Bradshaw on art, who's kind of an Art Adams-esque guy. But these are supposedly, they're not even untold stories of Spider-Man's past because they're set in the present, so it's kind of confusing.
Well, it's the present. I mean, it's set in 2016, but it's not the present of the Marvel Universe.
No, and the more we talk about this, the more you may not want to get it because of the way we're talking about it. But it's good, and it's something that you can give to a younger reader that's ahead of the Marvel Universe Spider-Man book, which is really aimed at kind of elementary school into middle school. This is middle school into junior high and high school, and adults can enjoy it as well. So if you're a Spider-Man fan, you should pick it up. It's going to give you a different take on kind of familiar situations for Spider-Man. Definitely for people that have enjoyed the recent Spider-Man films, because you're getting a Peter Parker Spider-Man set in present day while he's in high school. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and I think, and we struggle with this. People will come in after seeing something like the second Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man movie with the Gwen Stacy Goblin stuff, and say, I want to read the comic of this. Where's the original comic of this? And we have it, but it's very dated. And some of those stories from the early Spider-Man run are great, but they are written and drawn in a way that's out of date by decades. So it's a hard sell, or it's just something that you may enjoy what you get out of it, but reading the book itself isn't necessarily as much fun as reading a modern book. So seeing some of that stuff retold, seeing that classic era Spidey in a digestible, modern inked, modern drawn format is totally worth it to me.
Yeah, sure.
Next up, I've got 2 more Marvel #1s. How many more? That's a lot of Marvel #1s. Marvel's just cranking them out
Marvel
this
is
week.
relaunching their entire line, so...
Yeah. I've got All New Inhumans. That's right, there's a second Inhumans book. Co-written by Charles Soule and James Asmus. Charles Soule, you may remember from Daredevil and from the main Inhumans book.
Is it Uncanny Inhumans?
Yes, Uncanny is the main one. Art by Stefano Caselli. This is the story of kind of like the young New Humans team. Gorgon in his Professor X wheelchair is sort of mentoring them.
Professor Gorgon?
Yes.
Gorgon X.
We also get Crystal, former wife of Quicksilver and sister to Medusa. They're essentially, all right, you remember in Twister, there was the people that chased the storms? That's what they're doing. They're going around following the Terrigen mist cloud as it goes about the Earth and doing cleanup, helping the new Inhumans, political stuff, all sorts of strife and whatnot. And that's what it is. I really like this new team. Some of them we've seen before in the previous Inhumans books. Some are essentially new. and the tone of it was really good. It's light and fun, even though they're dealing with really serious stuff, and you get a nice balance of classic characters with new characters. And the other all-new this week is all-new X-Men #1, written by Dennis Hopeless, with art by the always awesome Mark Bagley. And this is the original time-lost X-Men minus Jean Grey, figuring out where they stand in the world. So you've got X-23, Angel, Iceman, Bobby Drake, and some other people. Beast, Hank McCoy, the young Beast.
Yes.
And Genesis, is that his code name? The young Apocalypse clone from the
I think
Kid
they're
Apocalypse.
calling him Kid Apocalypse.
Which would confuse me because they have Kid Nemesis too. It's just too many kids. And this is about being young people with powers lost in time. It's really good. This specific issue mainly follows the search for Scott Summers. In that 8-month leap, we got something happened. It appears that Cyclops is dead, and he died becoming the most hated mutant on the planet, which he was already sort of in the running for.
I don't know how he can become more hated than he was before.
But it apparently involved attacking the Inhumans, so we don't really know yet. Presumably we'll see that at some point in the future in a flashback. But so when you have the most hated face on the planet, what do you do as a young Scott Summers who's not done any of this stuff yet, has just showed up to find out that he grows into be a crazy dick? And this is about that. It's about what he wants to do and what he does with himself. And it was really good. If you like the classic X-Men team, the interactions between Bobby and Hank, just lots of fun.
It's the fun X-Men book.
I mean, most of the X-Men books are fun, but I thought it was the most fun, yeah.
My pick of the week, and I kind of called this as soon as we pulled it out of the box yesterday, even before I read anything. I thought this was going to be my pick.
Well, to be fair, you had already read all.
Yeah, I've read everything in it. Batman vs. Superman, The Greatest Battles. This is a $9.99 collection of some of the greatest battles between Batman and Superman of the modern age, which is great because no offense, I hate those collections that are like this and they put in like a bunch of Silver Age and Golden Age stuff that I really don't care about. I mean, I like the Silver Age stuff, but I don't need to see like some old school Batman, Superman stuff that the artwork is crap. And no offense to old artists, your artwork isn't crap. I'm sorry, Larry Lieber. So anyway, this is the best bang for your buck that I can imagine, and get this as a stocking stuffer for someone who's excited about Batman vs. Superman, the movie, someone who's a fan of either of these characters, even for yourself to have a nice collected edition of some great stories. So what do we get? We get The Battle, which is part of the Hush storyline, Batman number 612, written by Jeff Loeb, artwork by Jim Lee. We get One Night in Gotham City from Man of Steel number 3. This was the John Byrne relaunch from 1986 that reintroduced Superman to the DC Universe, as well as most of the other DC Universe characters. Story and pencils by John Byrne. Who Would Win from Superman Batman number 78. This came out in 2011, written by Joe and Jack Kelly, art by Ed Bennis, and this story is all kinds of awesome. I don't want to spoil it. But can I spoil it? Let's spoil it.
I think if you go back in our video history, we actually reviewed it.
We probably talked about it back in 2011. It's basically two kids debating who would win Batman and Superman in different scenarios, and they're incredible. We get Justice League Part 2, which is Justice League number 2 from the New 52 relaunch, story by Jeff Johns, pencils by Jim Lee. And Batman Endgame Parts 1 and 2 from Batman number 35 and 36, story by Scott Snyder, pencils by Greg Capullo. And finally, The Dark Knight Falls from Batman The Dark Knight number 4 by Frank Miller. So the last story is the iconic cover, is from the iconic issue where Batman and Superman are standing against a red sky, battling in the final issue of The Dark Knight Returns. Really, I don't know why you wouldn't get this. This is full of all kinds of goodness.
Yes. Some of the greatest writers and artists in comics, writing two of the most iconic characters.
2 Jeff Johns written stories, 2 Jim Lee drawn stories, 2 stories by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, a great story with art and pencils, or art and writing by John Byrne, and a Frank Miller story, and that great story from Superman Batman.
Awesome.
Just get it, really. I'm gonna
there's
hand
no
this to
fat in that
everyone.
collection.
I'm gonna hand this to everyone that comes in the door.
Last stuff for me this week, we've got, for the first time in hardcover, Brian K. Vaughan and Marcos Martin's The Private Eye. You may remember Brian K. Vaughan from Saga, Why the Last Man, and Everything Awesome. And this is it was originally done only digitally. It's never been in a physical book before. We had a cool hardcover edition in the original widescreen style format, just like 300. And yeah, it's a story in the future where the cloud has burst and everyone putting stuff on the internet has ended badly. Basically, at some point, all of the secrets on the internet have gotten out, and now life is way different. The police and the press are sort of one thing, so that's weird. And everyone goes around with alternate identities. When you leave your house, when you're with anyone you don't trust, you have like a mask and a secret identity, and it's just ridiculously strange and awesome. Future, kind of very noir influenced. It's Brian K Vaughan writing a dystopian future. I don't know what more I can tell
All you
you.
need to know.
Brian K Vaughan, Brian K Vaughan.
I just want to go back to the Superman versus Batman thing. 7 stories for $9.99. With current comic prices, this book would be $21 to $28. $9.99 for 7 awesome Batman versus
That's
Superman
right, and
stories.
you're not wasting time with the build up or the denouement. It's all awesome every issue.
I don't know who Yo-Yo Ma is, but actually I do.
He plays the fiddle, right?
All right, so I have 2 favors to ask of you. Number 1, there's going to be a link to a viewer survey in the notes with this episode. We kind of want to get your feedback on what you'd like to see in 2016 in the videos. What you like, what you don't like, that sort of thing. And also, give this episode a thumbs up. The more likes that the episode gets, the more people are going to view it. Share it with people that you think would appreciate it, because we want to get it in front of more people like you, so that people who appreciate awesome comics can find out that they're out, that they're available, what they're about, that sort of thing. We want to support the good stuff and send a message to publishers and creators that we appreciate what you're doing in regards to the good stuff. That's it for this time. Thanks for your help with that survey, and we'll see you next time.